the very fact that we find sugar so rewarding is the proof that it's not meant to be something we have all the time, because we were meant to be incentivized to eat all the sugar that's around whenever it was there in the summertime so that we could store up for the winter. That's the way sugar is meant to work. So the very fact that we feel such a high dopamine release when we eat sugar is proof that it's not something we're meant to eat all the time, or at least we're not meant to be addicted to all the time, because we're meant to be addicted to it for an evolutionary purpose. We're meant to be addicted to it because it's only available periodically and temporarily, because in nature, it was something that we needed to be addicted to survive. It was something that you needed to be addicted to so that you could always ensure you refuel whenever it's there, because it's a luxury fuel. But at the same time, the other side of the coin is it's not meant to be consumed all the time, because it will make you hungry all the time when it's available. Hey there, my name is Anthony Romano, and I'm going to tell you in this video the one thing you need to master if you want to be lean for your entire life. Now, this is essentially a common component of all the topics on my channel, right? I talk about keto, I talk about fasting, prolonged fasting, all these other things. But the one thing you need in order to be lean for your entire life is going to be told after I roll my intro. So, the number one thing you need to master in order to be lean for the rest of your life is quitting the dependence to sugar. That's what it is. So it's getting rid of sugar dependence. Write that down. Write down the only thing you need to be lean for your life is sugar dependence. That's all you need to do, is to quit sugar dependence. So, like I said, this relates to a lot of topics I talk about. I talk about keto dieting, so no sugar diets altogether. I talk about prolonged fasting, so not eating anything altogether, including sugar. Intermittent fasting, 1 meal a day, classic bodybuilding, all these old things that deal with a lot of manipulating sugar intake in one way or another. But you don't have to do any one of those things. You don't have to do keto all the time, even though it's my favorite thing to do. But you probably should do it for at least some point or another, or at least some sort of fasting protocol or something. But I'm going to explain to you all the ways you can actually quit sugar dependence. But first I'm going to explain to you why you need to quit sugar dependence. So just know that you don't have to do like keto or all these things, although they are optimal. But the point is, you should do one of these tactics in order to minimize your dependence on sugar, because if you're in a carb metabolism and you ever want to lose weight, even if you want to do it through a macro diet or something, the thing that's going to make you hungry from moment to moment is blood sugar rises and troughs, peaks and falls, right? Those are the things that are going to make you hungry from moment to moment, because our blood sugar and our blood insulin, which move like synergistically up and down, are the prime determiners of how hungry you are in the moment, okay? The main master regulator of hunger is leptin. But in each moment, your ability to avoid food and avoid sugar and maintain a low-calorie diet, which is inevitably going to be necessary at one point or another, or any sort of low insulin diet, because that's what every diet is essentially, in one way or another, is going to be based on your ability to be dependent from sugar and from food in general. So here's the deal. A lot of people talk about fasting. A lot of people talk about fasting like a muscle. And it is a muscle, because if you've ever done intermittent fasting or known somebody who's done it, you might have at first thought like, holy, how the hell do they do that? But you get better at it as you do it. Why is that? It's because you're growing your body's ability to perform in a lower blood sugar environment, in a lower insulin environment. And not many people are aware of the fact that if you have breakfast, I use this example all the time, if you have breakfast that's an apple, and only an apple or a bagel or something like that, your blood sugar is going to go up. Even if it's not a Snickers bar, it's going to go up, which it will still if you have a Snickers bar for breakfast. Like, I'm not going to judge you. I mean, I've probably done it at some point. Blood sugar goes up, then it crashes. And then you're driving home from work and, Burger King is just calling your name because you're physiologically salivating because your blood sugar has crashed. So the point is, you want to get rid of this volatile blood sugar and blood insulin crash and fall. And how do you do this? It's by resensitizing your body to sugar. And one of the ways you can do that is through keto, prolonged fasting, intermittent fasting, 1 meal a day, which I'll get into because there's different protocols for each. But essentially, that's the main gist, okay? So moment to moment, you want to get your body better at certain times of the day abstaining from sugar. Also, getting more effective use of that blood sugar, because the way that you essentially get better at being dependent from sugar is by training your body to essentially use it more effectively. Because if you're not having it as often as you normally do, or if you're having a smaller eating window, or if you're having less sugar in the day, what's going to happen is your body's going to get the message of, hey, clearly we're not using sugar as much, so let's get better at using it. It's a natural sensitivity thing. This is why the other term for type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance, right? It's basically sugar resistance. Your body is less sensitive to using sugar and insulin effectively. Okay, that's essentially what it is. So hopefully if you buy into the premise, which is everything I just said is verifiable from any scientific journal in the world, it's like the most foundational premises. If you buy into that, the premise that abstaining from sugar will improve your appetite, or doing certain sugar avoiding techniques will make you more sensitive to sugar in a way that means more efficient use, then you're now prepared to hear how to do this, okay? Because trust me, anybody that if you know, rack your brain for somebody who does fasting, or rack your brain for somebody who you've heard talk about fasting, or intermittent fasting, or something like that, or the warrior diet, or 1 meal a day, chances are they say they feel good. That's probably why they talk to you about it, just like I'm doing right now. And if you've ever thought like, hey, how is this possible? It's because over time your body gains a better sensitivity. And it's until you've done a keto diet in your life where you realize that your hunger is entirely dependent on blood sugar spikes and falls. Because when you're at that trough, when you've just had the peak and you crash, a couple hours later you need to refuel again. You're hungry again. That's the nature of a deep carb metabolism. And carbs are not the bad guy here. It's simply being, addicted to them in one way or another. And the best ways to kind of resensitize your body is either cramming things into a smaller eating window, right? So 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day, 4-hour eating window is more optimal, but not everybody likes that. My personal favorite way to do this is by a immediate cold turkey keto diet. And this might sound wacky to you. The whack alarm is off. But essentially, this is not as whack as it might seem, because here's the way keto works. Keto is simply the no carb diet. Doesn't mean you have to eat a shitload of fat like everybody says. Doesn't mean you have to throw out your protein shakes. Simply means do not eat carbohydrates. And when you do that, your body's going to get the message that it's not using carbs anymore. You can still get plenty of carbs from green vegetables, but the point is those are fibrous carbs. You can eat plenty of those, but watch my other videos to figure this out. But the point is, after 3 days, your body enters ketosis, where it's using fat as its primary fuel. And if you think about, anything in nature, in the wintertime, no carbohydrates grow. Unless you're from like Hawaii or something, your ancestors were not eating carbs in the wintertime, unless like they stored something and fermented it or whatever, right? Most of the time, 0 carbs grow in the winter. No fruits, no grains, nothing high glycemic, dense in sugar will grow. No oats, nothing. So, much like everything in the world, our metabolism is seasonal. So that's probably why our ancestors lived longer and why you see these native societies and they're healthier, etc. But that's just one thing. Our metabolism is meant to be shifting in both, and your metabolism and your body doesn't care about which fuel source it's on. It just cares that you have enough energy. So the problem with, just doing the fasting or the 1 meal a day or something like that is that it will work, but at first it might be harder because your body isn't getting the message to switch altogether, right? That's what I say often with the keto stuff is a lot of people think, oh, I can't do 30 carbs a day only from greens, but I can do probably 80. That'll be easier. No, it's not. It's harder because you're teasing your body. You're not allowing it to jump across the bridge. It's a leap, okay? It has to take 3 days, right? Or if you fast entirely for 2 days. Now, here's the interesting thing. Like I said, if you stop eating altogether, you'll be in a keto state. And there's a whole movement on this, like snake diet on YouTube is the big thing, where you fast for days on end because it gets you into a deep state of ketosis. Now you could start doing it that way and then eat carbs, etc., etc. But either way, you're going to want to incorporate some sort of fasting protocol or ketogenic protocol, whether it's a full-on keto protocol for most of the year like I do, or a cyclical approach where you do it every now and then just to reset your sugar tolerance, right? So that's all I'm going to say about keto stuff, because if you've heard enough about it, that's all you need to hear. Because all you need to know for this video is, even if you don't want it, if you don't like doing that, of course I encourage you to be open-minded and give it a try. But the point is, even doing it at one point of the year, or even doing fasting at some point in the year, or intermittent fasting for more often than not, you're going to diminish that sugar dependence in one way or another, which is why intermittent fasting is probably the easiest way to get yourself to this level of freedom from sugar, liberate yourself from the constant food dependence, right? Keto is the diving into the deep end of the pool, right? Prolonged fasting is also diving into the deep end of the pool. But even just get started with something like intermittent fasting, because the biggest key you need is to diminish that sugar dependence. And maybe you want to slowly titrate down to like more of these advanced techniques like prolonged fasting or keto, or both. But the point is, start looking into this, start integrating this, because I'll tell you right now, this is absolutely the number one way to ensure that you're going to be lean and ripped for the rest of your life, because you need to master this dependence and freedom from sugar, because it's keeping you hungry all the time, and it's the luxury fuel source in nature. It's the quick burning fuel source, right? It's not meant to be, stored in excess, right? That's what fat is for. We store plenty of fat because your body wants to have that, so you can function just fine on your own body fat or eating fat, etc. But the point is, look into these things, because sugar that's why we have such a high reward response to it, is because it's a luxury fuel. It was not in abundance in nature, right? Your primal ancestors were not eating, Twinkies all the time. The reason we get such a response from Twinkies is because it's our body saying, holy shit, we got an abundance of carb here, quick burning fuel, and we have an abundance of fat here too. We have both fuels. That's awesome. And doing that too much is going to cause people to be addicted to food, because in nature, it was something that we needed to be addicted to survive. It was something that you needed to be addicted to so that you could always ensure you refuel whenever it's there, because it's a luxury fuel. But at the same time, the other side of the coin is, it's not meant to be consumed all the time, because it will make you hungry all the time when it's available. It's meant to be the very fact that we find sugar so rewarding is the proof that it's not meant to be something we have all the time, because we were meant to be incentivized to eat all the sugar that's around whenever it was there in the summertime so that we could store up for the winter. That's the way sugar is meant to work. So the very fact that we feel such a high dopamine release when we eat sugar is proof that it's not something we're meant to eat all the time, or at least we're not meant to be addicted to all the time, because we're meant to be addicted to it for an evolutionary purpose. We're meant to be addicted to it because it's only available periodically and temporarily. So that's what you have to do. In one way or another, make it temporary, whether it's through fasting, prolonged fasting, intermittent fasting, ketogenic dieting, or combinations of them, or OMAD, or 4-hour eating windows, whatever. Look into my other videos to watch more about each of those approaches. Hit me up personally if you want coaching on those, especially the ketogenic dieting one, because I've been doing it for like 8 years now, which is way longer than almost everybody else on YouTube. And in general, leave a comment on what else you want me to talk about, or if this video was insightful for you, because this is a very important video no matter what you like doing. But integrate this somehow. Let it sit in the back of your head, let it brew up, because it's a great idea personally. That's what I think, and I'm very confident about that. So thank you for watching. Seriously, I appreciate that. Subscribe to me right now and like the video. Peace.